For more now on the Orlando shooting, we're joined by our Washington correspondent, Stefan Grobe. Stefan, the scale of this attack has united the country in some ways, but it's also reopened divisions on gun control, domestic security and terrorism. What impact do you think it will have on the presidential campaign?
Orlando is, if you want, the first test of the 2016 presidential campaign, giving both candidates the opportunity to look presidential. And both offered totally different approaches. Donald Trump tweeting that he always told us that this would be coming, almost triumphantly slapping himself on the back, calling for tougher and smarter measures to fight Islamic terrorism, and renewing his calls for an all-out war against ISIL in the Middle East and a travel ban for Muslims who want to travel to the United States. Hillary Clinton was much more moderate, much more subdued. She talked about the heroism of the first responders and, of course, calling for national unity. She said, this is a time to come together. This is not a time to demonizing members of, the American nations. And she is, of course, against the travel ban. She said we cannot demonize the Muslim community. We need the Muslim community to fight this. And, of course, she also mentioned other angles of this horrible story, like violence against the LGBT community, gun violence, and on a broader level, hate in general, as one of the most difficult problems facing this society. So the presidential campaign has already moved to take this event and make terrorism one of the top priorities.
Who do Americans trust more on terrorism, Trump or Clinton?
For Americans of all walks of life, terrorism is a top priority in this campaign. There is a majority of Americans, according to polls, who says that Donald Trump is probably tougher on terrorism, but also a majority of Americans says that Hillary Clinton is much stronger than Trump when it comes to temperament and experience, and both are needed to fight terrorism. By the way, the American public reaction was surprisingly muted. This could be because it was a very hot early summer weekend, or, and this is probably worse, because Americans have gotten used to that sort of violence, considering it almost like a tornado-like event that hits the country every now and then.
Well, Stefan, thank you very much for that analysis.
Thank you, Neil.